Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC News Break. Barbados, unlike some of its neighbors, does not have a problem with government corruption. The country reports on human rights practices for 2015, released by the U.S. State Department recently, states there were no reports of government corruption during last year. The most serious human rights problems identified were unprofessional conduct by police, violence against women, and discrimination against lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender individuals. Other human rights problems included child abuse and discrimination against persons with disabilities. The report highlighted government's efforts to punish officials who committed abuses, but says impunity for security force members did not appear to be a problem. It states there was one report that the government or its agents allegedly committed an arbitrary or unlawful killing. The report adds that while government websites provided access to information, responses were often slow to requests for specific information by citizens, the media, and other interested parties. Though Barbados boasts of a high literacy rate, Attorney General Adriel Brathwaite is concerned over the number of children leaving school who cannot read or leave without a certificate. Though noting the problem is nothing new, he says these students are being ignored.
And we have been releasing them into this society for years, for many, many, many years. So every year we publish the number of scholarships and exhibitions. And if we actually publish on the other paper, because we actually would probably need a few more papers to publish the number of students who are leaving for CXCs, etc., you would actually see the extent of the problem that we have.
Mr. Brathwaite says there's a creeping culture where people who do not take responsibility for their actions and then run to the media to have their problems resolved. He believes it's happening too often. He says families today operate different from those of yesteryear.
That's part of what is going wrong in this country. We are not telling people to take responsibility. We have developed, and this is why our measures over the last couple of years have been so unpopular. They've been so unpopular because we have not accepted that there will come a point in time as a country when the country would only be able to take people so far, and that people would have to take responsibility. Our founding father had a vision in terms of the development of Barbados.
As Barbados approaches its 50th anniversary as an independent nation, a government minister wants greater attention placed on becoming a republic. While Minister of Industry, International Business, Commerce and Small Business Development Donville Innes respects those who oppose the idea, he sees the attainment of republican status as the next step from political independence.
To the point where this country is really in charge of its situation, as opposed to Queen Elizabeth II or her heirs who are located in Buckingham Palace. 50 years after we gained independence, I think that we owe it to the next generation to truly move towards Barbados really being an independent state, having a head of state who's from among us, one of us, and all of the symbols I think that go with it. Now, when we talk about these things, people behave. The first thing is say, well, how much is it going to cost?
Mr. Innes suggests both political parties support the move toward Republican status.
The Barbados Labour Party and the Democratic Labour Party are at one on this. Both political parties have indicated their commitment towards Barbados becoming a republic. Why we haven't moved forward is perhaps a question reserved for others. But I don't believe it's a matter that will cost the state any significant sums. I believe firmly that there are advantages to us as a nation for feeling in control of your own destiny, as opposed to the Queen in England being in charge pretty much. And I just think it's the right thing that we have to do.
Females are set to write this year's Barbados Secondary Schools Entrance Examination, also referred to as the 11+. 3,525 students will take the exam at 22 secondary schools across the island. This figure comprises 1,784 males and 1,741 females. This year, 13 students will write the exam at an early age, that is, at 10 plus. Now, the common entrance examination will also be taken by 148 non-nationals, as these students have satisfied the immigration requirements. A 70-year-old woman has been charged with the offense of causing death by dangerous driving. Marlene Spencer Corbin of Haywoods, St. Peter, was charged in connection with the death of 71-year-old Norman Foster. The accident occurred on November 13th last year at Goddings Alley, Speightstown, St. Peter, and Foster, who was a pedestrian at the time, died later at the QEH. Ms. Spencer Corbin appeared at the Holetown Magistrates Court yesterday and was granted bail with one surety to return to court on September 5th. The PSV sector is pushing to have more bus stops erected around Bridgetown. The move, they say, will make it easier for the traveling public. The idea is one of several proposals highlighted during a recent meeting with Minister of Transport Michael Lashley. Members were updated on the developments following a joint meeting between the Alliance of Owners of Public Transport and the Association of Public Transport Operators. Spokesperson for the Alliance, Ingrid King, says they're pushing for a return to the Baxter's Road route when leaving the city and a change to the disembarking-only bus stop on Tudor Street. She says they present some hardship for the operators and commuters.
Of course, the commuters are a big part of what we're there all about. So what happens is that passengers that would normally have to plod down to Princess Alice and so on, we're finding that they, in addition to people coming from James Street, Roebuck Street, because of the situation with the privately owned PSVs, they are made to walk that additional distance rather than being able to take the option that allows them to go to Baxter's Road to take a transport board bus, and only a very few privately owned PSVs. So our position is that is an inequitable and untenable situation.
Ms. King is assuring that concerns about traffic in the city have been factored into their proposals.
And I think that the authorities will be pleasantly surprised to see that we've looked at it in that way. It's not for us just simply getting more money and thus, more passengers. We have looked at how it can work. So that's the proposal we want to take to them, our honest idea of how it can work for the benefit of everybody.
A group of Ecuadorian students at the University of the West Indies are appealing for help for their countrymen. It comes after a massive 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit the South American country over the weekend. The latest figures indicate that about 350 people were confirmed dead, more than 2,000 injured, and several hundred still missing. Spokesman for the group, Diego Murillo, says they're organizing 3 activities, including a concert and a Facebook campaign.
We're right now opening a bank account in First Caribbean Bank. It's going to be on our supervisor name, Sonia Johnson. So the guys who want to help our friends in our country can deposit the money that you want. Also, we are trying to make a collection of food in certain barrels. I think we will do this next Saturday with putting some barrels in the different big shoppings here like Carlton, Massey, Jordan's.
Mr. Murillo says the 50 students, all teachers at home, are at the UE to learn English. He says they are fortunate that all of their immediate families are accounted for, but they all know someone who has either been confirmed missing or is dead.
We are really, really worried here because we know, even though we know about our families, some of our friends are dead, some of them are disappeared. In the Manabí province, we have a place called Pedernales that is a small beach, a small town, and people say that the buildings with 4, 5, and 6 floors, they just are on the ground. So the majority of people there is dying. We don't know how many people is still on the ground, who's still trapped there.
And we're hearing that the first funerals are taking place as international aid continues to pour into Ecuador following Saturday's quake.
To continue climbing as officials get access to areas that were cut off partly by the earthquake and partly by some devastating torrential rain that had been falling in Ecuador for weeks due to El Nino. I want to paint a picture of where we are right now. This is a convention center that's used for concerts, and it's been converted essentially to a recovery aid center. Behind me, there are more than 300 students that have been working around the clock since Sunday, helping to prepare care packages full of water, food, clothing. There are even mattresses and coffins for the deceased here to be sent into these areas where the earthquake most affected. I can tell you, though, there's a growing sense of frustration here because though these students have been working around the clock and they've prepared hundreds of care packages, you may not be able to see them behind me. They're just off to my right. They say that the trucks that are supposed to send these to the most affected areas are not getting here fast enough.
It's time for a break now, but when we come back, regional and international news. Stay with us.